And so you're a very interesting person. You're into anti-human trafficking.
Yes.
You're a missionary.
Yes.
You're a filmmaker.
Yes.
You're most probably a singer-songwriter as well, if I look at the list.
I would love to.
Actually, that
To
would be
sing.
great. That would make the
But
list
I write,
even
but
longer.
I don't know how to sing.
But that's so interesting. How on earth did you get into all of this, and what exactly do you do?
Oh my goodness, how did I get into all these? I think first of all, it started by me following my passion, which I think actually came from God, because if it were just from me, I would have given up a long time ago. I think the passion to really influence society and to see God's kingdom come into society was what I got in contact with very early in my life when I got saved, because I persevered in His presence, asking Him, God, what is it that you created me for?
Okay.
I really, really wanted to know my purpose, and I stuck in there in God's presence, and then He revealed it to me. And it will interest you to know that I never used to talk. I used to stammer.
Yeah.
I promise you, I used to stammer. I used to stutter, so I couldn't even.
Almost like a Moses.
Moses was my case study. You know, I used to really, and because of that, I was shy. I couldn't speak in public.
Yeah, you said something about being an introvert.
There we go. So all those things, and when God revealed to me that my purpose, that I was going to be a preacher,
Wow.
I was praying, and then I got this vision. Like, I saw myself in front of a crowd. And I'm looking at myself, and I'm hearing the commentary.
Yes.
The narrator is narrating that this is Anne admonishing her crowd.
Sure.
They actually said Evangelist Anne.
Sure.
How is the evangelist going to admonish the crowd without a voice?
Sure.
So in reality, I didn't know how to speak, you know. I told you I stammered and all that.
Yeah.
But when I saw that vision, something happened inside me. I came alive.
Oh.
And the rest was me trusting the Lord for that breakthrough. And the break came when I had to do my first speaking assignment.
And when was that, and what happened?
This was when I was 14 and I gave my heart to the Lord.
Wow.
I was in school, and what they did in school, I went to a mission school, Anglican mission school, St. John's Anglican school, and they would divide the whole school into 5 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they would assign a student to lead the assembly.
Okay.
And then you had the choice to submit your name. If you felt you had a word to share with the assembly, then you submit your name. And dump me. I went and I gave my name, not even knowing how to speak yet. But I got saved, and I thought I was on fire, you know.
Wow.
So my name was there, and when the day came, my goodness. But before the day, I was praying and I was fasting. I thought God was going to heal me. I was asking Him how He did with Moses,
Yes.
if He would do it with me, and nothing changed. So that day I was actually going forward to go and speak in front of these people. I prayed to God to kill me. And then you know what I thought? And people will say, wow, and she died preaching the gospel. She was even going to preach that day. But it was fear that killed me. But I didn't
So
die.
you stepped out and you took a fight.
I tell you, I was so bold and stupid.
Well,
Foolish.
you told us a very interesting story earlier today. It made me laugh, but there's a lot of truth in that, because it's a very precious lesson that you learned from God. Tell us about that, because apparently that is quite important for the rest of your ministry.
Yeah. That whole thing about building a foundation. I mean, just think about it. If you didn't know, why would you want to build something up and you want to go down? That was my understanding. But when I learned that without a foundation, no house will stand,
Yes.
then I knew that, yes.
But tell us the story.
You want to hear the story? Okay. You know, the passion to build society, to build nations, and when I started experiencing that, even at the age of 10, I thought in my mind, like people weren't doing things right, you know, I could create things, I could see a new community, new society, and I kind of felt like I had the power somewhere to do these things.
Yeah.
And literally I was living in my dreams, in my visions, and being an introvert, I would take myself out of this, you know, out of people, and just be alone and just envision, just dream and imagine. And I actually believed my imaginations. So when I saw the city, I saw like a city with orderliness. I mean, I'm Nigerian. If you want to see the peak of chaos, you know, come visit. Anything law and order, we don't like it. So in Nigeria, we set the rules only to break them. So that's how we roll in Nigeria. It is. But
just like the saying, rules are meant to be broken.
that's exactly our reality. But for me, there was just something inside me that wanted a different thing. I didn't know it was God at the time. And I felt I could do it myself.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't like I always wanted to see buildings that would be well painted, the place must be clean. I always wanted that. So I felt I could start doing it myself, and lo and behold, in the morning I said to my friends, I've seen the city and we're going to do it.
And how old were you?
I was just
10.
Yes. And I said, come. They said, how we were willing to build, but how? Then I said, okay, don't worry. You know, I went back again to my introvert. And I got the idea to actually go and at that time I didn't think I was stealing. It was when I was caught and I knew I stole. There was this Catholic father. Father John or something his name.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't say the name.
He wouldn't even mind, I'm sure. But I forget the name. And he had a poultry, which was dismantled, you know.
Yeah.
And the materials were still there, the wood, the zinc, you know, the nails I found from other places. I was picking nails because of this drive, you know.
Yeah.
And what was I going to do? Chicken house. But in my mind, I was thinking of a city. So I said to my friends, let's go get those materials. But they're like, oh, we're going to be caught. And when we get caught, what happens? So we cover our faces. Now our bodies are there. You know what we used to cover our faces? Plastic bags.
Oh my goodness, that should have been really funny.
But even dangerous, because I remember a lady in the neighborhood was like, these kids, you're going to kill yourselves, you're going to choke. But we did that and we, you know, stole those things from Reverend Father.
So you started building
we stole,
a house.
you know, and then came and built our own little, it was so funny. I couldn't wait to push everyone in it. And then my sister came around and just decided to touch it, it fell on all of us. And even for me to sit and think of the hurt on the children,
Yes.
That wasn't my problem. My problem was plan B. How do we make this work? And then I thought, maybe that's why they dig down.
Yeah.
And you know, visionaries don't have time to stop and...
Yeah, you want to get the job done.
And immediately I said to them, that's what we're going to dig. And so that was the next project, digging. We dug and then it's the foundation. But the one we eventually built, it stood the test of time. Because I think my mom came and discovered she chased us out of the whole place, but they started using it as a store. So it was useful.
So you learned the lesson of building a foundation earlier on in your ministry.
And in life.
Yes.
In life.
So if you look back at what you've done so far, what you've been involved with, and what you're currently doing, what is your biggest passion? What is the thing that drives you most?
I think what really, really drives me most is to see the kingdom of God come in our societies. That is my biggest drive, nation building. And then with that, God, my best character in the Bible is Nehemiah, and how God used him to rebuild the broken walls of the society of his time, of Jerusalem. And God constantly opens my eyes to the things that break down our walls today. And any city without walls is exposed to reproach and disgrace, and the glory of God is not there. You know, and for me, that is the kind of thing that really breaks my heart. So, for what I'm involved in right now, fighting human trafficking, I was in the Netherlands in 2008. And it was so painful for me when I saw a lot of African girls on the streets selling their bodies. And immediately it took me back to 1999 when I first joined Youth the Mission. And it was in Togo, in West Africa, where I saw a case of 2 victims, teenage girls from Nigeria, that had been trafficked by this, they call them Madame. She's Nigerian, she was Nigerian as well. She trafficked them, promised their parents a better life. And then she brought them there and she took them to voodoo to hypnotize them. And then she started selling them. And that was what she was doing for a living. And I was face to face with this reality. At that time, I was very young. That was my first encounter with human trafficking situation. I couldn't do anything, but I was vexed in my spirit. So now, in 2008, you remember from 1999, 2008, this thing is coming back again to me. I'm in Europe and I'm seeing African girls. And my heart is bleeding. So I was there, I was studying to be certified as a media trainer. And so we had to do our final project. And I decided to design and develop a course to train journalists on how to report on human trafficking in Nigeria and in Europe.
Yeah.
Because I felt human trafficking is a global problem, and it's enough of pointing fingers, because the West will point fingers at Africa. You keep sending your girls here, and we will point fingers at them. Why do you keep buying girls? Why do you have this insatiable desire for sex? So I said, no, guys, let's stop pointing fingers.
Yeah.
It's a common problem. Let's share solution.
Yeah.
So let's have journalists from Nigeria and journalists from Europe. So at that time I was thinking Europe, and then Germany. The managing director of Deutsche Welle Academy came to me at a conference where I presented this idea. It wasn't a Christian conference at all, But I just said, this is what I would like to see happen. And she loved it. So the Foreign Affairs Ministry of Germany sponsored that project.
Wow.
So we had a German journalist and a Nigerian journalist. Now you can think of those two cultures in one space, talking about human trafficking. For 1 month we were on fire. The cultural differences and even the topic we were addressing. And then they weren't Christians too.
Oh dear.
And we were Christians. There was conflicts on every level, but God gave us breakthrough.
Yeah.
We were able to document stories. We did 2 weeks in Nigeria in a place where they call the human trafficking capital, where the federal German police told us that 80% of the illegal African prostitutes in Europe come from that place.
Sure, that's sad.
So we documented their stories there, and then we went back to Germany, we went to Berlin and Frankfurt, and we were chasing treasures all over the place for the stories. I mean, 12 a.m. we were like going to brothels in the snow.
Now you are referring to treasures. Maybe you can
Yes,
just explain to us what you mean by the word treasure.
The treasures. Actually, treasures are prostituted victims or trafficked victims.
Okay.
So we choose to call them treasures because that's what God opened our eyes to see. They're His treasures, caught up in the dark.
You said something earlier on about a change that you've experienced in this ministry working with the treasures.
Yes.
That you've discovered that it's more effective to actually reach out to the men. Maybe you can tell us about how that came about. And
the thing is, we felt like every other organization or ministry, reaching out to the girls first. Go give them soup, give them coffee, give them tea. So it was basically like trying to take care of the fruits and not going to the roots. Yeah. Because there's someone that's making them do that. And how long will they listen to you? How long will they be with you when they have to go back to this person that demands money from them and this person that gives them drugs? Because they get them addicted to drugs. And so the treasures, the female treasures, they rely on the pimps. And so we didn't plan to go to the pimps. We were actually doing like every other ministry, just to go to the girls. And as a matter of fact, do you know that most of us in church, we blame the pimps? We think we love everyone. We think God has called us to love, and we're spreading God's love, but actually we're going in judgment because we condemn them. We see them as the perpetrators, which they are, but it's a judgment. I don't know about, but I really had a judgment in my spirit. Every time I saw them, like, these are the guys making these girls sell their bodies. They're evil. Yeah. And I forgot that Jesus also died for them. Yeah. And they have a destiny in God. Yeah. So it was out of compulsion and frustration, they were stopping the girls from listening to us. I mean, we're taking their work time. And the girls are really afraid of the pimps. So when the girls couldn't speak to us, then out of frustration, we went to the pimps. And then we discovered the breakthrough. So one pimp gives his life to the Lord, releases all the treasures under him, and even compels some of them to get saved, because he starts setting up meetings for us to reach out to them. And now they say they're not selling their bodies. One has gone to get married. The other one we even took to a safe house, even though she ran away. But now she's back again, she's in the process. And then he's going out to reach out to other pimps that have just been trafficked into the country. And quickly he's telling them that this is not life. And he had earned the respect of the men because he was up there, being that his brother was like the chief trafficker in that area. Sure. And the brother trafficked him here. Sure. You see, so now this is the man that God is using to win others into the kingdom. So how easy is that? That you get a key person. Very clever. And it's all God's idea. We just, followed.
And you also said something interesting about the guys, they get trafficked or actually ticed into this by promising them a career in football.
Yes.
Tell us about, you said that they've got a football team now.
Yes. It's amazing. You see, these guys were very qualified football players
Yeah.
back home in Nigeria. And when the traffickers saw that, they enticed them. They said, you can come to South Africa, there are better clubs, and you can play soccer and even end up in Europe, and it was such a good idea for them. They actually paid to be trafficked here, they didn't know.
Sure.
So one of them told us he paid about 50 or 60,000 rands to get here. They told him they were even trafficking him to the UK.
Yeah.
No, not trafficking, they were taking him to the UK.
Yeah.
And then he ended up in Cape Town. He's like, oh, what is this? And he had to sell his business in Nigeria for that better life.
Yeah.
And he gets to Cape Town and they say, yeah, but you stay here first of all, we'll try and fix a club for you. Now he's here, first few weeks, they're feeding him, they're accommodating him, and he has no clue what they do. And then he's waiting for soccer, and it doesn't happen. So he starts asking questions. Now his pocket money is gone.
Yeah.
He's broke. And they say, well, we're still waiting, the clubs are not happening yet, but we can still help you survive, but now you have to contribute to the rent. And he's like, but you know I don't have any money left. They say, yeah, we know, but you know we want to help you. And okay, we can really help you now. Take this and sell it. And that's drugs.
Yeah.
And then they give you women. It's okay, these two girls can actually make the money for you. Because all the girls need is just give them drugs and they will pay your rent for you.
Yeah.
So give them drugs, manage them, and give them accommodation. That was how he got involved. So basically most of our guys, that's the reality. And so God is just helping us to take them one after the other. So right now we've taken out 3 out of that, and some are in the pipeline. They've, let me say they're sitting on the fence. Because now they don't want that lifestyle anymore, but they don't know what else to do with their lives. So they come for fellowship every time we're there, and they always tell us how they really want to serve God, and because they don't have the faith yet to step out and walk on water.
Well, you've got such amazing stories of how God has used you, just there where you see the pain and the need in society. Where do you see God taking you next? What is next for Anne Abok?
I want to make more movies to speak into the area of human trafficking. I'll tell you why. I was in Italy. Every country I go to the streets. Okay. Because I don't visit a place without going to the streets. Because I know Jesus is in the streets. So I was there in Italy this year, and a African girl comes to me, like after the whole time of ministry. First they see you, they run away. She actually ran away from me. Being African and she's African, she ran away, and they finally came back, and then we got talking and really connected, prayed, and had a good time. And she said to me, I sold my body for 3 years, 8 months, and I paid 30,000 euros to my traffickers.
Wow.
3 years, 8 months, and I've paid all my debts. So now I have my freedom, they call it freedom, and I can work for myself. Let's sell my body for myself now. I built 3 houses for my family. And now you have to understand, in Africa, there's what a writer described as the economy of affection, where your parents look after you and then you have to look after them in turn. So that's the pressure that our young women and men go through. You don't have it yet, but your parents have expectations on you. You have to deliver. So now she's young, but they say you have younger ones, you have to pay their school fees, and your parents are old, you have to also pay for their hospital bills and their food, and they don't have houses, and so that pressure is on her. But now, because of this trafficking, the pressure makes them desperate to do anything. And you can't stop them. They take an oath and they promise the traffickers, I will do anything you want me to do to pay your money so that I can earn more money to help my family. So they're doing this for their families. They're really going through the valley of the shadow of death for their families. And she built 3 houses for her family. So now, in her village, they really celebrate her. They see her as a super success story. But she said to me, she said, Anne, I wouldn't wish my worst enemy to go through what I went through or what I'm going through right now. She said, Anne, you make films. Why don't you go back to Africa and tell people our stories? But I said to her, I said, you know what, that's what I do, and I want to keep doing it, but I also want to do it differently. I want to train you and empower you to tell your own stories. But I'm waiting for that day. And bless God, is going to come soon. That we'll have the treasures who have survived human trafficking. We'll have a safe house. That's what we're currently working on. To have a safe house in Nigeria. We've bought the land already in our state capital. we want to build this media-based safe house where we can teach the girls photography skills. My husband's a photographer, and we can teach them filmmaking. We can teach them music. I'm not musical at all, but I know we got to send us people.
Yeah, to do that.
You know, just ways that they can express themselves and tell their stories themselves. So we can just sit back and watch them tell their stories, hopefully to reach other people who are blinded. Because you still go to the vulnerable villages. I tell you, I tried it. I went to a village and I stood there and I sat in front of a church, a massive church. That was the first time I went to the church, and I went with my team. They were from like 8 different countries. And I said, we have jobs for you in different countries. Like, look at Sweden, this merged, all these different countries on the stage. If you want to get a job, just come and write your name. And they'll give you a job. You know, more than half of the church came out. Even the founder of the church came out. He was looking for a job without asking questions. So we could have trafficked the entire population if we wanted. So people are gullible. There's no public enlightenment campaign that is in those areas. And that's where the traffickers go to. So we want to do more interventions. And I'm talking like that because we work in Nigeria, South Africa, and Europe. In Worcester, now we've moved to Worcester. Worcester, the traffickers have decided to make it a hotspot because Cape Town is too saturated.
Wow.
So we're now sending interventions in every area, using every opportunity. We've done movies now in Worcester. We're going to churches and showing it and going to the communities. Right now, as we talk, we have a team from Australia who came just to focus on human trafficking. They're called the Priceless Team. You know, to create awareness, to tell people that they're priceless because God has paid the price. Nobody can put a price tag on them. Our campaign slogan is, I'm a treasure, don't sell me. So we're doing interventions to prevent
and to educate.
And to bring education and awareness. So I would like to see more of those taking place. And in my future, I would like to see really modern day slavery abolished.
Amen. Well, your life is so inspiring. I mean, just your passion for God and to see people, you know, being taken out of the bondage of slavery and the enemy's clutches on their lives. And we really pray a blessing on your life and how God is using you.
Amen.
And we'd love to see the next movie,
Yay!
which will obviously be educational, but different from what Hollywood gives us. Give a true
Very
picture
correct.
and you know, make people see what's really going on. Blessings to you.
Amen.